mix of salty sea air and burnt rubber. The big skies, high banks, and grandstands. The rumble in your chest. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. Honoring history and making it. At the biggest race of the year on the biggest stage of a lifetime. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. You gotta see it to believe it. Secure your experience now at Daytona500.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you in Tuscaloosa as we start a very busy week here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and of course have Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. We'll go through everything coming up on the show, plus our headlines thanks to our friends RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They've given us a smart board to go through everything in a very interactive way on this Tuesday afternoon. First things first, we'll catch up with one of the outstanding defensive linemen for the Crimson Tide in Jordan Renaud. Talk about his role on this defense and his journey to Alabama. Then we'll catch up with Chris Stewart for our Hey Coach preview, get his thoughts on not just Alabama football, but basketball as well. And then we'll take a look back to last night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind as Tyler Watts will join us for Be Kind Crimson Tide Rewind, looking back, unfortunately, at a loss for the Crimson Tide football team. This past Saturday, the winning streak of 8 games came to a close for Alabama as the Sooners pick up the win 23-21 in a game where Alabama had some really costly turnovers and mistakes as well in special teams. Just a tough day for the Crimson Tide all around, losing to Oklahoma for the second straight season. Congratulations to Crimson Tide wideout and sometimes Wildcat quarterback Jeremy Bernard. He has been named to the Fred Biletnikoff semifinalist list for the best wide receiver in the nation. Now coming up this week, it'll be the first time ever Alabama takes on Eastern Illinois University for the final non-conference game of the season and the final home game as well. It is Senior Day coming up, 1 p.m. our start time. Our radio coverage starts at 10 all across the network. And we got news yesterday from the league office that the final game of the year, the Iron Bowl, will kick off at 6:30 down in the Plains at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Taking a look at Crimson Tide basketball. The Crimson Tide men's basketball team had a top 10 showdown in Tuscaloosa last Thursday. Tied at 80 late in the ballgame. Unfortunately, a good, strong closing stretch for second-ranked Purdue. Boilermakers pick up the win 87-80 over the Crimson Tide. With the loss, Alabama only slides down 3 spots in the AP poll. Alabama now number 11 in the poll. And guess what? It's another great matchup coming up tomorrow night. In Chicago at the United Center, it's Alabama against 8th-ranked Illinois. The Illini got the win against the Crimson Tide last year in Birmingham. Or no, it was the Crimson Tide getting the win against Illinois. So we hopefully will get another win against the Fighting Illini coming up on Wednesday night in Chicago. Look forward to being there. Women's basketball, it was great to be at Coleman Coliseum last night. Crimson Tide get the win 66-43 against Alabama A&M. So hopefully some good things on the way for the Crimson Tide women's basketball team as they'll return to action coming up tomorrow against Samford. Other notes around Crimson Tide athletics, it was a thriller last Friday night. The Crimson Tide in the first round of the NCAA tournament defeat Northwestern 3-2 in penalty kicks. It was a dramatic shootout. Coralie Lawyer, the keeper for Alabama, 3 straight saves in PKs to help clinch the win for Alabama. It's going to be tough coming up this week. 9 p.m. on Friday night, Alabama against number 1 seed and the ACC regular season and tournament champion, the Stanford Cardinal on the farm. We look forward to Wes Hart and the Crimson Tide. Best of luck to them against the Cardinal coming up this weekend. For the volleyball team, they beat Vanderbilt and Missouri to close out this weekend. Now on Friday, their play will start in the SEC tournament. It's back for the first time in 20 years. The SEC volleyball tournament will be playing coming up this weekend in Savannah, Georgia. So best of luck to Coach Reed and the Crimson Tide volleyball team. How about Jordan Renaud on this Crimson Tide defensive line, a strong playmaker for Alabama? He joins us now to talk about his role on this 2025 defense. Roll Tide and welcome back to Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Roger Hoover back with you at the LLH Healthcare Advantage Center. Now pleased to be joined by Jordan Renaud, Crimson Tide defensive lineman, as we're about midway through this 2025 season. And Jordan, first of all, Roll Tide. How have you enjoyed the start of this year?
Roll Tide, it's been great. I feel like the year is going unexpectedly, but we knew that adversity was going to strike. It's just about how we respond to it. But it's been going great, though.
Yeah, you mentioned the adversity. A tough first game against Florida State. What's the response been like since then?
I feel like the response has been more about us. It's been more about how we're willing to put in the work. Um, being like overly overly watchful about what we do, like being consistent in what we do, like paying attention to the little things more. So since the loss has been more militant, I would say.
And that's not just in ball games. That's in practice. That's in film study. It's like every
Yeah.
part of what you do right now, right?
Right.
Oh, that's great. It's led to really good results for the Crimson Tide. For you, how do you feel like you've developed a really good role in this defensive line?
I feel like my speed, my hand placement, like how I play the run, has affected the team. Obviously, there's a lot more things that I would like to do, but that comes with repetition and practice. So I feel like it's gonna be good. It's still more work to be done, but I see myself being becoming a big part of the team.
You mentioned really strong against the run, does some good pass rush, especially against Wisconsin with all the
Right.
sacks in that ball game. How nice was that to see?
Again, I celebrate my teammates even when plays don't go my way, even when I don't feel like I've been placed. You know what I'm saying? But even if I don't get the recognition, I just still would upbring my team and lift up my team in their success.
And for the defensive line, it's been a year of some adversity as well. You lose Tim Keenan right before the Florida State game. He's unable to go. Unfortunately, Jeremiah Beeman suffers an injury. So with that, the depth has been tested. How has your room really stayed together with all of that?
One thing about it, like my room been close since like last year. I feel like more guys like myself, Edric, LT, had to speak up a lot more to the younger guys and let them know that, hey, just because our leader's out, we still have to depend on one another even more. It doesn't necessarily mean that we'll still be lacking. It just means that we have to be strong when other people are weak. So just being all linked in, all locked in, and really showing love, like speaking up about what we need to see and what we need to do. So that's how we stay together, in my opinion.
How have you seen the young guys step up, guys like London Simmons or Isaiah Faga?
I'm gonna start with Saya. So Saya he's the type that he needs to know what he does wrong so he can fix it. Like one thing about our room, we're very self-sufficient. So like our coach, yes, they coach us hard, but we're more hard on ourselves, like as individuals, than our coaches in some situations. But Saya is a very hard-working guy. He has a lot to prove. He plays with a chip on his shoulder, and his season is still young, but he still has a lot to say. So Saya Faga is definitely one of those ones. But as far as London Simmons goes, London is a freak athlete. London's shocked and surprised a lot of us in the room, but the way he goes about his business, he has a unbreakable hunger for the game and for his position. So those two guys have been a very important piece to the line recently. So yeah, those guys are definitely going to be one of those ones.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing their progress here at Alabama and progress you've made as well, going back to 2023. What do you feel like allowed you to get on the field more in the last few years and have a larger role for this season?
Honestly, it's been the discipline piece, like understanding that nobody can control your own fate. Like what you put in is what you will get out. So I feel like once I changed my focus from what other people were doing and how many plays they were making, like even if I didn't make the play, even if I don't contribute to the team, I can still be a part of the sideline, be a part of the living, breathing organism, making noise, like encouraging my team, and then to go from that to getting in last year, popping a little bit, but it's still some inconsistency and like messing up plays and stuff like that, and getting over that mental piece about blaming people or whatever. And then fast forward to this year, it's really just a head-on focus, locked-in focus, being meticulous about what I do, like being very intentional about the time I put in and the work I put in, like learning the plays, making sure I'm being consistent in my play. This past spring, fall camp, off season was the most consistent I've ever been. So it's definitely been worth it. So I definitely see myself becoming more than just a figure. You know what I'm saying?
All right, so that's where we are now with your time at Alabama, but let's back up just a little bit. First of all, tell us where you're from.
I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, South Florida. Then I moved when I was like 6 to Sarasota. So that's why on my bio it says Sarasota. I spent majority of my time there from middle school, well, elementary school to like part way through middle school. Then I moved to a little town called Palmetto. It's right outside of Bradenton. I stayed there for like 6-7 years. So from that time to like my my sophomore year, I moved to Florida. Not Florida, but to Texas, excuse me, with my dad. He originally moved to Louisville, and I spent a spring in Louisville. I didn't understand like the recruitment in Texas and how big it was until I touched down. So like the week after I touched down, I got offers from everywhere. So I moved from there to Tyler Legacy like the summer of 21. So that was a different transition, but it was worth it.
Growing up in Florida, did you have a favorite football team, college football team?
Yes, I did. I was definitely a fan of the U. I wasn't really so much a fan of Florida State, but Miami, like the vibe that they brought, like how they play football. Like I just loved everything about the game then. But I didn't really get into football until I was like 12. So, but I always had a thing about football. So,
Yeah, what got you into football?
I was always an athletic kid. So like when we used to have assemblies in middle school, like the guys that I used to run with was like not even 100 pounds. And I was running around them, keeping up with them. We used to do drills like to keep our I don't know what I was training for, but they would have me doing drills and stuff in the gym. But I didn't have any like coach. I didn't want to play football. I didn't have a wanting to play football, but he was just like, hey, you should try out this year. Fun fact, my original position was receiver. So that's why it's kind of, I don't know, different, but I couldn't get over the like catching the ball and having somebody hit you. I wasn't on that.
Because you wanted to watch the ball come in and then get all the stuff to do.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They switched to defense after that?
Yeah, so they seen that I was fast and linky, so they just put me on the end. And it was like, you can put your hand in the dirt, but nah, I want you standing up. You gonna stand up and then just run around. It was more about like I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off when I first started playing, but it didn't start getting serious until like my freshman year of high school, where I started like picking up like offers like from D1 schools. My first offer was Iowa State. So, but then my first SEC offers was Arkansas my sophomore year. Yeah.
And then you mentioned you make that move to Texas, go to Tyler Legacy, and all of a sudden you're getting all these offers. Just what kind of different beast is Texas high school football for people who maybe don't know about it?
Before I answer that, Florida high school is still the best in my opinion.
Yeah, it's still good. Yeah,
It's still the
absolutely.
best in my opinion. But Texas has like a different type of grit when it comes to the trenches. Like the trenches is more about bragging rights in Texas. Like in Florida, they care about the trenches, but it's more flashy. Like they care about the DBs, the linebackers, receivers, quarterbacks, yeah. But like Florida don't get much recognition when it comes to the D linemen they produce. But Texas, it comes with a buttload of D linemen. So that was one thing that was different. It was just the trenches for real.
How'd that make you better?
Hand placement. Like I played the 4-eye for majority of my my latter years of high school. So my hand placement, the speed of the game is a lot faster. Like the way they score, they run a lot more play action, a lot more 12 down in Texas. It's a lot more ground and pound. So that's why my run game contributions to the team this year is thanks to what I went through in Texas. So
We had all that recruiting attention. When did Alabama get in the mix?
I started getting talked to Bama like my going into my junior year, like my sophomore year summer, like 21 summer 21. I didn't understand that it was real until after I got the call from Saban my junior year. Yeah, it was kind of different actually.
What was it like connecting with him? Because I'm sure you'd seen him on television for years and years and years, but now here he is trying to sell you on why Alabama's a good fit.
Yeah, Coach Saban was what he was like displayed as. Like what he is on TV, that's what he is in real life. So it's never an act. It's never something. That's just who he is. What he was to me, or who he is to me, then he was more serious than I was expecting. So I had to like keep my composure. Like I was standing in the presence of greatness, and I didn't understand like how great he was until after. Because remember, I only had 1 year with him, so I was not fast, his last recruiting class and his last team that he coached or whatever. But at the time, he dropped a lot of gems when it came to the mentality of what it took to play at Alabama. Like the reason why he recruited me, like what made me special to him. So that's one thing I can appreciate from Coach Saban.
I'm sure you didn't play with him, played a large role in the decision. What else went into you deciding to make Alabama your pick?
It was about like being stretched to the capacity. Like people think that the league is just the final goal. It's not the final goal. It's things that you have to do during, but before, during, and after you get to the league. So I feel like Alabama was more challenging on my mind than anything because my athletic ability is going to take care of itself. But coming to this school is more about what you're willing to do for yourself mentally than physically, because this is a machine to build people into machines, but this is also a program that builds boys into men as regards to the attention to detail that I was talking about, the mental stability that I was talking about, and then the grit and willingness to do it. So a lot of people want the shine and what comes with being an Alabama football player, but don't know what it takes to obtain and keep and hold, because other people out there do want your spot. No, they don't have the brand or the script A on them, but other schools, you've seen how quick or how fast the fans and this, the world seem like turned on us week one. So there's a lot to go into playing here.
Make that decision to come to Alabama, and you mentioned a lot of it goes beyond football. What have you liked about being a student here at Alabama?
The administration is very on top of their business. Like the administration is not the football team, but how they like what makes the football team I see in the administration, whether it be my professors, whether it be my advisors, tutors, even, like everybody has the mentality to make you better and get you better. So that's one thing I fell in love with about the school.
And speaking of administrators, Greg Byrne, the athletic director,
Right.
He's faced with a very tough challenge, replacing the head coach, Nick Saban,
Right.
Who again retired after your freshman season. What was it about his pick, Coach DeBoer, and what you liked about Coach DeBoer that made you want to stay here?
My freshman year, I was looking for change. I didn't know if I was going to be able to get that with Coach Saban. I was preparing my mind to still see Coach Saban. But I remember 2 weeks before, or I don't know when Washington played in the Sugar Bowl.
It was like that, or the Sugar Bowl against Texas.
Yeah, against Texas.
Yeah, it was the same day we played in the Rose Bowl.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that day, going back and watching I think was it the Natty that.
Well, then they played Michigan and then the national championship on a Monday, and then Coach Saban retired on the Wednesday after, and then DeBoer was here on Friday.
I think that's what it was. So
Yeah.
watching the national championship game and understanding that he did that at their school in 2 years. So like that was the change that I felt. It wasn't the grit of Saban, and no, it wasn't all the things that made me fall in love with the place. But DeBoer gives me another insight on how else to think. Like, you can still have the foundation of gritty, but you have to have the wits about yourself to control yourself while you're being gritty. Like, it's not just about how hard you can hit somebody. It's about being calculated and where you hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a different type of mastery with DeBoer. So, like, he's a master in his own right. Like, people don't give him enough credit for his mind, because his mind is definitely he's definitely one of those ones.
Then how did the defense change with Kane Womack coming in and the style of defense you all play with the last couple of years?
So with Saban, it was more two gap, make sure you hold your gap, filling up space for the linebackers to shoot. Okay. Now it's more about the D line and the front seven working together in tandem to make those plays happen. So it's more about letting the linemen loose and then having the boys behind us clean it up. I feel like I'm more free to do like me. Like, it's more like this defensive scheme is more scaled to the personnel, like the faster guys. Like, even Edric, he's more of he's a big guy, but he's a hybrid. Like, he's not the traditional 6'5", 315 DN, or tackle or whatever. But it's more about letting us be us, like, in our athleticism. So that's the difference for real.
I have asked Edric this. I believe I've asked him before as well. When you look at the Alabama offensive line, you guys are battling with them, not just preseason camp, spring ball, even week to week. Yeah. Who are some of those guys that have really made you better over the last few years?
I have to go KP. He pushes me in ways that I can't imagine. My freshman year was something to get over his size, but once you get past that and realize that's an actual human being just like you can actually take him. Wilkin Formby, in a way, because of how he challenges me to look past the words of what he said. Because Wilkin's a troll. Like, he gonna troll. Yes, he's a troll. I love him. Yeah, I love him to death, but Wilkin's a troll. So Wilkin, KP, T-Book was a big person that I looked up to when it came to, like, how he goes about his business, how he film study, like what he does on the field, like the type of plays that he was able to make on field. Like, I only beaten him one time, maybe twice since he's been here. So being able to say I did that. Oh, and I can't forget about JC Latham. Mm-hmm. Like, JC Latham, Tyler Booker was my freshman year, but coming in with Wilkin and KP was like those four guys have, like, molded me into the lineman I am today.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So again, great experience for you in football. I mentioned life outside of football earlier. Mm-hmm. What has been your focus in the classroom? Maybe one day after football is done, what do you think you'd like to do?
I think I want to become a humanitarian. I feel like me working with kids is, like, the best thing, because I've been watching kids. I've been babysitting kids since I was like 6, 7. Working with the Boys and Girls Club is, there's been a
yeah, we can start over again. Yeah.
One more time.
It's all good. It's going around.
One more time. All right, my bad.
So you mentioned humanitarian, maybe work with kids.
Mm-hmm, yeah. So, man, I've been going to the Boys and Girls Club since I was like 6. From like 6 to like 12-ish, I've been going to the Boys and Girls Club. So my mom was a single mom up until I was 13. In her time, in the summertime, she'll drop us off early in the morning, like 6 o'clock in the morning, then work all day, and then come pick us up at 4. So her being able to still be who she is to me while working, and then we're doing what we're doing as kids and still allowing us to enjoy our childhood. I really commend her for that, but I also thank the Boys and Girls Club for doing that for all them years, which I don't think they'll remember me, but they probably would because I was a troublemaker. I ain't gonna say it like that, but that's what it was. I know I learned from my mistakes, but I used to be a hell raiser, so I ain't gonna do it.
It shapes who you are now.
Yeah.
That's really good. I'll let you out of here on this. Just again, we're a little bit into the season now. What's this group capable of over the next few weeks?
When all our minds are focused on being one band, one sound, nobody in the nation will be able to stop us. Not only with the motivational piece, but just how we play. Like, we play aggressive, we play fast, we play physical. So with those three things, and plus TK come back, it's not really much more that could be said or should be said after that. Once we have our anchor, it's a wrap. So
can't wait to see it. Well,
yes,
Jordan
sir.
Renaud, you're doing a great job for the Crimson Tide. Just appreciate your time you've given us here today in studio. All the best moving forward. Thank you. Roll
yes,
Tide.
sir. Roll Tide.
This isn't just a race, it's the race. 500 miles of glory, 1 million memories, one place. That's what we love about the Daytona 500. You gotta see it to believe it. Secure your experience now at Daytona500.com.
Really enjoyed meeting Jordan Renaud. All the best to him and the Crimson Tide moving forward in these final 2 games of the regular season. Chris Stewart, the voice of the Crimson Tide, joins us now to give his perspective on the loss against Oklahoma, plus thoughts against Purdue in men's basketball and what's ahead for Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide this week. And we also preview Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show next with Chris Stewart.
Chris, we had a lot of excitement going into Purdue in basketball, into Oklahoma in football, but unfortunately the Crimson Tide came up just short in both of those games.
Yeah, it's disappointing, I think, this week as it was exhilarating the previous when you had the big basketball win and the football win on the same days. And, boy, we had weather that matched it once again. It was perfect and really cool homecoming, but unfortunately not able to get the basketball victory at home on Thursday night against a top-ranked Purdue team, even though it went to the wire. And really the same thing against Oklahoma, which had to have the win against Alabama to stay alive in their hope for a college football playoff. They got the victory. Alabama didn't take care of business, and now we gotta sweat it out over a couple of weeks and make sure we take care of our own business in order to get there.
Yeah, got some work to do for this Crimson Tide football team. We'll start there. I did a lot of good things against Oklahoma, but Chris, it was some timely mistakes that really hurt Alabama in that game.
Yeah, drove the ball well, turned it over, pick six, 87 yards. Something else we hadn't allowed is a long punt return, which put them in field goal range for their initial field goal. Fumble on a punt return hurt you. A missed field goal, short one. They make 3, including one from 52. They force 3 turnovers. We have 2 interceptions in our hands and can't get them picked off. And look, defense was exceptional. So I'm not picking on anybody in any way, just stating fact of things that any one of those go your way and the result is different. But the reality is Oklahoma made enough plays to win. Alabama didn't. And so they were able to leave with a much better mood than we did from Bryant-Denny Stadium.
And I feel like maybe early in the season we talked about some of the concerns on special teams, but then as the season has gone along, we haven't really had to address that too often because special teams more often than not made plays. But was it concerning about the missed field goal, the long punt return given up, even Ryan Williams fumbling on a punt return? How concerning are some of the special teams issues for this group?
Concerning on one hand, on the other, because they're out of character on everything but the missed field goals. We've had too many of those. But the fumble, when you go back and watch, it was a heck of a play on their part. It wasn't like we just, didn't take care of it. It was punched out, a great play by them. Obviously, there's things you work on to make sure as best you can that it doesn't happen, but it's not like we just, on a routine tackle, lost control of the football. Everything that went wrong can be fixed. Everything that went wrong, we've been much better at most of the time this year. Another positive. I know the yardage is well below what we want it to be, but I thought we ran the ball as well as we have in weeks against probably the best run defense in the conference, or one of the best in the conference. You've just got to take better advantage. And while Ty has only thrown 2 picks on the year, obviously that one cost us 7. Great read on their part to get it done. But also, I think it's 5 straight games now where the quarterbacks put the ball on the deck at one point. I think we've lost 3 or 4 of those. So ball security is obviously huge. And as we go down the stretch and there is no more margin for error if you want to play for a national title, then you've got to make sure those things are all taken care of. And I think they will. I'll be surprised if they're not. It's not like I'm wringing my hands over something that we think this team is not capable of, or just hoping that it'll finally stop. But no, they've done a really good job. It's why they've put themselves back in the position they're in, which is to play for everything. And you win at Auburn, in all likelihood, you're going to play in Atlanta for the SEC championship, which will put you in the I just don't see how, regardless, and I don't want to get into too much of that because you think about winning, but the reality is if you are in Atlanta for the SEC championship, I don't care if there are 3 losses, should that game not go well, I cannot see the runner-up in the SEC not getting to the college football playoff. May have to go on the road, maybe an 11 or a 12 seed, so be it. But that all being said, this team, I think, would play beyond Atlanta if we can get there, and we get to Atlanta by going through Auburn. It's not the most direct route geographically, but from a football standpoint, that is indeed the path.
That is indeed the path. So again, Eastern Illinois coming up this week, then the trip to Auburn. So that's a look at Alabama football. Again, for men's basketball, as we mentioned off the top, I did a lot of good things this past Thursday night against Purdue. And the schedule from here, Chris, only gets tougher, starting with Illinois on Wednesday night.
It's like football. Didn't finish. Just didn't finish. Had it at 80-80. Give up a bucket. It's 82-80. You got one of the best players in America at the free throw line, misses the front end of a 1-and-1, and you don't score again the rest of the game in the final minute and a half or whatever the time frame was. But no, a lot of good. Got to rebound better, and I'll be shocked if they don't, as they again play possibly a better team and a better rebounding team than Illinois, and that's not like Purdue has flaws, but I'm just saying, let me clarify. Not necessarily better, but playing them in Chicago will make that just as difficult, I think, as it was for Alabama to play in the Garden and at home against the number 1 ranked team in America in Purdue. So that all being said, I think we'll rebound better. I think we'll get better balanced scoring from this team. I'll be surprised if, again, LeBaron Philon has only 11 points in the ball game. That was certainly well below his average, even though they're going to be focusing on him, obviously, and trying to make him as little of an impact as you can against a guy that talented. I think it'll be rare to see him have scoring games that are around 10 the rest of the year. And so all of those things I mentioned will help you get closer to a better outcome on Wednesday night.
Well, we're looking forward to that, as well as Hey Coach Wednesday night, and then the football game against Eastern Illinois. Then before you know it, we're going to be talking next week about Alabama in Las Vegas for the Players Era Festival and men's basketball, the football game against the Auburn Tigers. Chris, it's a busy 2-week stretch coming up. We look forward to catching all of your broadcasts coming up and visiting with you here again on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. But just thank you for your time, and Roll Tide.
Absolutely, buddy. Roll Tide to you.
Our thanks to Chris Stewart, of course, Hey Coach, and the Kalen DeBoer Show coming your way on Wednesday night at 6 p.m., presented by Alpha Insurance from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Speaking of Baumhauer's, our week of programming always starts on Monday nights. Baumhauer's in Vestavia Hills. We always have a great showing from our fans in Birmingham for that show, cheering on Tyler Watts and, of course, Todd Robbins. But, of course, Tyler Watts gives his perspective on all things Crimson Tide football, especially after a tough loss against Oklahoma. He tells you a few things you can feel good about with this Crimson Tide football team, and some things to work on as we get ready for Alabama against Eastern Illinois and, of course, the Iron Bowl. Full version of the show can be found on our YouTube channel and the Alabama Insider podcast, but here's some of the best of moments from last night in what we like to call Be Kind, Crimson Tide Rewind.
Listen, it was we played so well all season long, but unfortunately had kind of gone on a trend starting against South Carolina, where offensively just weren't hitting on all cylinders. It continued in the off week and in the LSU game, and unfortunately really dragged on against a defensive unit in Oklahoma that you could not afford to make any type of mistakes, especially when you were not able to counter that with a couple of turnover opportunities yourself. So, you know, I mean, they scored 17 points directly off of our turnovers, and that ended up being the difference in the football game. And you have to learn from it. And I think that there was some growth throughout the course of the game, however, with some guys putting the ball on the ground. And then next time that they were anywhere in traffic, did a really nice job of securing it, making sure that they weren't turning it over anymore. So hopefully it's a lesson that can be carried forward. Hopefully it puts a chip back on your shoulder, and hopefully the team continues to bond and kind of refocus on what they need to do to become the best team they can.
Yeah, the loss ends an 8-game winning streak for the Crimson Tide. Obviously, Alabama had started SEC play a perfect 6-0 prior to this 23-21 loss to Oklahoma. Got down 10-0 in this ball game. Some good things were happening. It was just a 3-0 score, but then the pick six led to OU going up 10-0, and it helped change how kind of the momentum and the feel of that first half.
And I think what hurt so much about that pick six was the fact that you were about to score. You were in scoring position. You had just dodged a bullet where Daniel Hill had fumbled the ball. It had been recovered by Latsier Brooks. You had picked up the first down in the very next play, pressure right up the A-gap, nobody touches the oncoming linebacker, and the hot route is thrown too far inside, right into the arms of the safety. You know, Ty Simpson had a couple of passes throughout the day that sailed on him a little bit. He didn't step down and drive that ball down and right into the arms of the Oklahoma defender, and he was able to return it 80-something yards for the touchdown. And that was a big hole to dig out, but Alabama was able to do that. You come back, you tie it up, and you have an opportunity to square things off at halftime, 17-all, and special teams let you down for the second time of the day.
Oh, yeah, Tyler, we're getting ready for more football. The final home game of the season will be on Saturday. Can you believe it's time for Alabama against Eastern Illinois?
Yeah, the Mighty Panther comes to town. I'm not sure if they're plural or not, but Eastern Illinois is coming to town. This is be senior night for all the Crimson Tide seniors to be honored and recognized in front of the homestand one last time in their college career. Well, maybe not. Hopefully, things will work out. We'll find ourselves in the playoff and potentially either getting a bye in the first round if we make the SEC championship and win that sucker, or hopefully having a home game. One more.
We'll see what happens for this group that, again, they responded to the adversity of the Week 1 loss of Florida State really well. What do you hope? Is it a similar approach? Can you replicate what they're able to do against ULM Week 2, or how does it go forward for this team?
Well, that remains to be seen, but hopefully they come out with great energy this week and really button up on the few areas that were so costly. And listen, turnovers, ball security is probably the easiest thing, in my opinion, to fix. It's just focus and concentration, especially in traffic, of making sure that you're securing that sucker and not throwing the ball in harm's way, even when you get a little pressure. You know, Ty Simpson, I thought, did such a good job for a majority of this game of any time he felt a little bit of pressure, of hitting his checkdowns, knowing where his safety valves were, releasing the football, not putting the ball in harm's way, and just taking 4 or 5 yards and getting ahead of the chains. But unfortunately, there was 2 or 3 costly mistakes that were made. And when you're going against a good defense, it's going to happen. I mean, that's a football team that has given a lot of opposing quarterbacks problems and created a lot of turnovers. And unfortunately, it was the 17 points that bit us with those costly mistakes. So, yeah, I think that you come out with high energy, you clean up the turnover issue that you have, and potentially you learn from this, and it makes you a better football team down the stretch. Because, like I said, we got to get out of this little rut that we're in right now, not playing as good quality, sound football as what we have, you know, in the month of October, and kind of get things back on track as we head into the stretch. Because all the focus and attention now turns to winning this game. Obviously, it's important, and then down against Auburn in the final week.
Yeah, certainly we'll be talking about that as we move forward for this Crimson Tide football team, and specifically with Ty Simpson. What are some areas you want to see some growth out of him as we continue on this path?
Just urgency, a little sense of urgency, a little bit better job of having that clock and internal clock, of knowing when to get rid of the football and maneuver in the pocket. and being okay with throwing the football away. There's nothing wrong with that, and living in a second and long situation. Probably not going to face as good of a defense as what we saw versus Oklahoma the rest of the season. At least you hope not. But that can make you a better team as well. As you going up against that good competition, nothing's going to surprise you. The speed of the game's not going to shock you. And just that sense of urgency of making it happen and driving the ball through the wide receivers' numbers. I think that's the most important thing. Sometimes he tries to be a little too fine and throwing a catchable ball that can be advanced after the catch, and sometimes it's a little errant, a yard or so too far high or in front of a receiver. So sometimes it's best just to drill it right between the numbers and make that defender come through you so that you either you catch it for a nice gain or you potentially get a pass interference.
Is it personnel? Is it scheme? A little of both that makes Oklahoma so good defensively?
They're just talented. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, they have some schemes that cause a lot of problems, but I thought overall our offensive line did a really nice job of picking up a lot of the different looks that they were getting, of not understanding where the pressure was coming from. They got us a couple of times. It's going to happen. But I thought that they did a really nice job of allowing 3 or 4 seconds for Ty to be able to deliver the ball down the field. And when he was able to do that with a nice, clean pocket, he was able to take advantage of that secondary for Oklahoma. A lot of man coverage. I thought that was something good that our receivers got better throughout the course of the day, because the opening drive, we didn't create any separation. But as the game progressed, we did a better and better job of creating some situations where we could really get some nice gains through the passing attack. So, look, you build on every snap, every rep, every mental rep that you have out there, and hopefully it just makes you better, because you're going to go against a good Auburn defensive front, but they're not going to be as good. And hopefully that Oklahoma loss, some things that you can learn on film, just the experience of being out there on the field with those guys, is going to make you a better team.
Turn Illinois, final home football game of the season, final out-of-conference game, and again, it's time for this football team to show kind of what they're made of once again after a tough loss.
Turn the page. That's right. I mean, you can't correct what's already happened, or you can't undo what's already happened, but you can correct the mistakes that you made in that game that cost you an opportunity that you should have won, and you felt you should have won at least. So, give your dues to Oklahoma, but it's in the past. You learn from it. Let's let that experience make us a better football team over these next 2 weeks.
Do you like the practice schedule of going to practice on Sunday to try and get whatever happened, win or loss, kind of out of your system as quickly as possible, and then the Monday off day?
Done it both ways. And look, there really is no off day, because even though you're going out on the practice field doing some walkthroughs and running a little bit, you're still coming in, lifting, doing film study on Monday. So there is no off day. These guys are in there pounding it out, grinding every single day, trying to get prepared, because you cannot have a lost opportunity of any time of not getting ready for your next opponent. I'm okay with it. It's behind us now. Now the focus is on Eastern Illinois.
We will see East Carolina next year. Yeah.
My buddy John Delk's all fired up about that one. No, but this is this is a game where let's get prepared. Let's go out there and handle our business. If the younger guys get in there as a result of that, that's great. But if you just want to see us hitting on all cylinders against an opponent that you should be, take it serious, have good energy. Those are the things that you can control.
And how about, we've talked so much about the offense, what they can kind of show, kind of getting back in rhythm, but how about for this defense, who again did a lot of good things against Oklahoma, maybe get some takeaways early?
Yeah, let's get that takeaway bug going again. Let's get that taste back in our mouth of the stripping it away, the interceptions, creating havoc on the defensive side. A game you should dominate the line of scrimmage, obviously, create a lot of confusion. Just go out there and dominate your opponent. Let's get back in that good winning feeling.
That certainly would be nice. So, again, the Crimson Tide in Eastern Illinois, and then can you believe it? We're going to be talking about the Iron Bowl, previewing Thanksgiving and what's coming up down on the Plains a week after that.
Yeah, already announced a late kickoff in that game. It'll be a great atmosphere. Look, say what you want to. Tough place to play. It was going to be tough anyway. We play pretty good at night, though, and it goes both ways. We'll get fired up about going out there into that environment as well.
Always a fun time with Tyler Watts at Baumhower's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills for Crimson Tide Rewind. That started our week of programming. Now let's see what else is coming up across the Crimson Tide Sports Network. A very busy week is ahead. Especially tomorrow, you have women's basketball taking on Samford. 5:45 will be our start time at Coleman Coliseum for that broadcast. 6 p.m., Hey Coach and the Kalen DeBoer Show from Baumhower's Victory Grill here in Tuscaloosa, presented by Alpha Insurance. Chris Stewart will be there talking with Coach DeBoer, so as a result, I'll fill in for him with Brian Passink coming up. For men's basketball in Chicago, Alabama looking for its second straight win against Illinois in basketball. Brian and I, our coverage from the United Center will start at 7 o'clock across the network. Network with our tip-off at 8 p.m. Then, of course, football on Saturday. We'll have another edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR Thursday at 2 o'clock on all of our social media platforms. And then our football coverage against Eastern Illinois will begin starting at 10 a.m. Legends Lounge in the Vector Security Champions Lane will start at 9 a.m. so all the fans can make their way to the Bud Light Backyard stage for our radio pregame show starting at 10. Smith Distillery performing on stage after we're done, and kickoff will be set at 2 o'clock for 1 o'clock, for Alabama against Eastern Illinois this Saturday. With everything going on, men's and women's basketball, even look at some of the results from soccer and volleyball as well. Make sure you follow us at UA_CTSN for the very latest. And if you're watching the show on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe and turn notifications on so you won't miss anything from us on the network. It's going to wrap up this busy Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Thank you to Jordan Renaud, Chris Stewart for joining us, as well as the thoughts from Tyler Watts on last night's Crimson Tide Rewind. Thanks to Ethan Carabin, our video producer, for putting all of this together. And thanks to all of you for watching. This is Roger Hoover with you in Tuscaloosa. Now I'm going to jump on the plane, get to Chicago for men's basketball tomorrow, Alabama against Illinois. But thanks again for watching Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Let's have a great start to the week. Roll Tide, everyone.